Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of podcast 43, and it is also the first episode of 2022. So happy new year, Fulton. Even you know that I haven't said that to you ever because we only talk on the podcast. So
this is so true. Well, happy new year to you too as well, Chris, and happy new year, listeners.
yes, that's
I
right.
hope grace finds you in the new year, prosperity finds you in the new year, and we get. I'm gonna go ahead and say I hope we get some better movies this year too.
Yeah, it was a pretty good year. It was a good year for movies.
I feel like I've been very disappointed, but that's like I hope we get better blockbuster movies next year, but that's a tall order to ask for. So.
What more do you want, Fulton? We had 4 Marvel movies and we had a bunch of Marvel TV shows.
Yeah, you're right. How much more can they do? But yeah. So I guess without further ado, because everyone is wondering, they're like, why would they pick 3 movies again? They're going in deep, they're going in hard. Because I think we've done 3 movies in the past, but it's been a sec, I want to say.
Yeah, no, it's been a little bit of a large gap in between us doing 3 movies and now because of just our busy schedules. But the benefit of winter break from classes is that we do have the privilege of being able to go in deep. And while some listeners may have wanted us to watch a lot of Nicholas Ray films, for example,
it will happen.
It's coming in the future, but we wanted to do mumblecore because it's this interesting subgenre of indie film that kind of came about in the late aughts to early 2010s. I guess it's still technically never ended, but like, I don't know. I feel like it's like very millennial core. And as millennials get older, I feel like, or as they have gotten older, I feel like there's less of that. I don't really see a lot of Zoomer mumblecore filmmakers, but maybe they're among us right now.
Yeah. Just waiting to come out.
Just waiting to come out.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like while I wasn't conscious of the movement back then, I feel like it's not really as prominent now, at least in terms of like the popularity of the films. But I mean, do you know, because I'm not really sure, but when these movies came out, were they very popular, or were they just kind of talked about in the film scene?
I think they were popular in certain circles, but there has definitely been like, there's definitely been people that have broken through to mainstream success from this movement. The first mumblecore film, Funny Haha by Andrew Bajalski, is kind of that was what started it. But there really wasn't anybody in that movie that kind of moved on to like anything like, bigger, kind of reached that mainstream success. But I would definitely call the Duplass brothers,
oh yeah,
one of the two that the Duplass brothers and Greta Gerwig are like the two that definitely took off the most from this movement.
Well, she ended up working with Noah Baumbach, which was very, very good, for both of them in terms of like artistically what they would go on to do, but also in terms of, they seem like a very nice couple.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. But I guess speaking of Greta Gerwig, one of the movies that we were going to talk about today is called Hannah Takes the Stairs, in which she's the main actor for. She's our main character in Hannah Takes the Stairs. And Chris, without further ado, Does Hannah take the stairs?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't take any type of stairs. It's just they could have included just one scene, just one measly 5-second scene of her walking up a pair of stairs, or not a pair of stairs, but walking up some stairs, just to kind of give me some closure. It's a very
There's no post-credit scene
no.
of her taking the stairs.
Hannah will take the stairs, and Hannah take the stairs. No, but it's also a very, I don't really, I've thought since the past 2 days since I've seen this film, I've tried to like comprehend what the title exactly meant.
I think it's just quirky.
See, I didn't want to go and I was thinking like, is each relationship that she finds herself in like stairs towards a more fulfilling love life? Like,
I mean,
like
I think I can see that, because I mean, as every relationship goes by, I think she's learning more about herself and about her faults, and also what she's kind of looking for in a relationship, because the first boyfriend, Mark Duplass, he's really kind of aimless, and then she moves on to Andrew, who's just super focused, like on his work, and he loves her, but he's super zoned in. He's got this blog that he's working on. He's working at the job that they all work at, and then he's also writing and doing all that stuff. And then you kind of get to the third boyfriend, and which we don't get to see as much time with him spent, but he seems kind of to be like a healthy kind of mixture of Mark and Andrew.
Does he also look like Pete Buttigieg to you?
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
that's why. So I can see that, but I also like don't think it's like I don't know, it might just be a kind of me and you are reaching for it, although there is text there to support the idea, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought there's enough support for it to kind of stand. But yeah, nonetheless, it's a movie about the titular Hannah, played by Greta Gerwig, having relationships with these three men as a postgraduate girl living in Chicago. What am I to do? What am I to do when I'm working on a TV show that they don't really, I mean, she doesn't really do a lot of writing. And I also found I was not a fan of this film because despite a Letterboxd review, despite Letterboxd reviewer Pickle Darling saying but that it's the Expendables of mumblecore films, because you got Mark Duplass, Greta Gerwig, and Andrew Bojalski, who I mentioned, directed the first mumblecore movie, and it's also directed by Joe Swanberg, who had a pretty who was a pretty big mumblecore director. I didn't care about Hannah really at all. I thought that like these types of films about nothing are fine. I love Jim Jarmusch, and Jim Jarmusch's like films like Stranger Than Paradise especially could be described as a film about nothing, but it also doesn't, it's not absent like a film style. And I think that this has kind of uninteresting or absent film style, and it's just kind of like just the handheld camera and then these kind of conversations that I felt like didn't provide any insight that I typically cared about. I mean, there was like one scene at the end that I thought was probably the best scene when she's talking to when Hannah's talking to Matt about like his medication.
Mhm.
I thought that was a good scene about like Lexapro and depression and like what, but that's like probably the only thing that I think stood out to me.
I will admit that is in my opinion, that's the best scene as well. Um, in kind of going into this one, one of the things that kind of spurred this, well, I would assume one of the things that kind of spurred our interest in Mumblecore was a episode of the Important Cinema Club that they did on Mumblecore. Because I was not aware of Mumblecore before, Chris, you brought it up to me and you told me to listen to that episode. And so when hearing them talk about Hannah Takes the Stairs, they're very negative towards it. And I think they do kind of have a right to be. And I can understand why people really wouldn't like it. So I did kind of have this preconceived thought about what it would be. And then I ended up watching it and I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Like I think like the film does convey like some emotion and I do enjoy watching Greta Gerwig and kind of in this point in her life through this film. So I don't think it's a great film, but I thought it was all right. And I was surprised by the level of emotion that they were kind of able to get through. But in terms of style of mumblecore, man, oh man, do I hate the zoom in so much, man. Like ruins every shot for me, just about like, and I like a stylistic zoom in, but when like to me like one of the whole things of mumblecore is it being kind of handheld, so it feels like you're very like, if you want to look at it this way, and this is kind of the way I would watch them, is that you're in this setting with these people and you're experiencing their life,
Mm-hmm.
and then it zooms in and it's like, no, 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 stop. Just if you want to get a closer shot, just cut and just shoot that scene. But I know they're trying to do it all natural, so they don't want to, say cut and then set up a new shot and then, but I don't know, the zoom in, and it's really only in this and Hump Day that the zoom in is like a prevalent thing that happens here and there. But I don't know why, but it would really kind of irk me the wrong way and like take me out of the take me out of the
Out of the moment, it was
experience.
like forcefully trying to make the dialogue interesting.
More impactful. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you feel a similar way, or did you not mind it, or
I probably was more on the negative side about the zoom ins too.
mm,
I didn't mind them as I think I dislike them more in Hannah Takes the Stairs than in Hump
yeah.
Day, because I think I just also was more invested in Hump Day, and I think it had a lot more interesting things to say, which we'll get into later. But
Yeah.
this especially, like, it's like I don't need to zoom in to like the best scenes in this movie are when the camera is static, when it's like
Mhm.
Greta Gerwig playing the trumpet at the end with Matt in the tub, or
Was not expecting to see all that.
yeah, it's
Mumblecore hangs dong.
yeah, exactly. But I think that like that, and then the scene at the beach with her and Mark Duplass
Mm.
are also kind of a very static camera, and those are both a lot more impactful than like Mark Duplass being like, I want to break up with you, and then it like zooms in on his face. We need to talk about Mark Duplass's character in this, because he's so annoying. Like he's like this
It's
guy
quite
that's
bad.
just this guy that's like, I just don't want to work. I just realized that I'm not gonna work because it doesn't make me
I'm not
happy.
happy at my job, so why should I do it?
Yeah, it's like a lot of people aren't, bro. I mean, that sucks, and that's life. But like,
Yeah.
do you like it just kind of reeked of like privilege.
Mhm.
Like I don't really need to work because like I still I'm still covered by my parents. I don't have
Listen,
to worry.
I mean, there's no like, but the film clearly doesn't care to explain how he would do. Like if he had said like he had saved up money and he's gonna work until that money saved off, but it leaves it pretty. It leaves that pretty open, which I get is not the focus of the film, so they don't have to go to a great length to explain it. But it's like it's just I don't know. It is really annoying because I don't know. He's just like, man, I don't want to do it, man. Like, come on now. Let's be realistic. How are you gonna be able to do that? And so
Yeah,
I don't
not
know.
cheap to live in Chicago.
No. And to just like because now I'm at the point in my life where I'm figuring out all that financial stuff. And I was like, I was holding my head. I was like, how the fuck can you do that, dude? I'm like, I don't understand. And, but yeah, but I will say that, unfortunately the Zooms do kind of ruin that moment, but I thought that was a well-crafted moment between Mark Duplass and Greta when they do kind of break up. It's very uncomfortable,
Oh, very, very uncomfortable.
which it should be, so.
Who uh yeah, oh, there's that one scene between her and Andrew Bajolski's character.
Are you talking about by the water cooler?
Yeah. When
Mhm.
or no, not by the water cooler, the one where he's like, he keeps saying that he's gonna go and he's like, goodbye, goodbye. And he's like,
Oh.
he says it like a dozen times before he actually
Mhm.
leaves. And then he's like, I want to kiss your wound, my queen. And that was that was also a pretty good moment because it was like
Mhm.
you could feel like how she was kind of getting sick of him in that
Mhm.
moment. And you could, it was just good to see like the juxtaposition of like how much he was head over heels about her compared to her just wanting to be left alone in that moment.
Because her
But
responses are, oh man, they hurt. She's like, yeah, yep, okay,
all
yeah,
right, bye.
sure,
Okay.
all right. And then there's one line of dialogue where he goes like, he's like, all right, well, when I see you tomorrow, you better look pretty. And she's like, oh, so I'm not now. And oh man. oh, oh man. There's some pretty like stinky moments of like like you gotta kind of sit through the awkwardness of it, which is kudos to them to being able to pull off that emotion so well
I
in those select few scenes.
They're definitely far and few for me,
This
but
is true.
the surprising thing to me is that New Yorker film critic Richard Brody did say that of the best performances of the century so far, this is from his list last year, he said that Gerwig's performance in Hannah Takes the Stairs is the third best ever
What? Not even like
of the century.
if he was to take like her from Francis Ha, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen Francis Ha.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I really don't
I don't
know.
know about this one. I mean, I think she's good in it. She's the only part of the film that made me want to keep watching. Like she's definitely the anchor that holds this film down for me. But I don't know about like,
Oh,
I mean, truth be told, when when you watch a lot of movies, stuff kind of gets, you're constantly getting new information, so stuff kind of falls back. I don't know if I'll remember this one as much, as some of her other perform. I think she's done a lot better in other movies. I mean, because this is earlier on in her acting career. I think she's developed as a. I mean, hell, I mean, she's even done great movies. I mean, she's a great director, and
Mhm.
She's a great writer. So I don't know. I think he could have picked something from her later period, but I'd have to like really look at all her stuff because I'm struggling to remember like what would be the what if I was gonna pick one of hers, which one it would be.
I would say probably Frances Ha or Mistress America.
Mm,
Um,
see, man, it's been a good like 2 years, I want to say, or good like 2 or 3 years since I've seen Francis Ha.
I do think that like people, Frances Ha though was like definitely not mumblecore because it's like actually like I don't want to sound mean, but because it's like actually like a movie. Like it actually
Yeah.
like it actually feels like there's like some film style there that isn't just snap
Mhm.
zooms and handheld camera work for the sake of handheld camera work. But it was definitely the thing that put her on the map for me. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sad that I'm sad that I didn't end up watching the Lena Dunham's mumblecore film, Tiny Furniture.
I've heard not great things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Doesn't that have a criterion?
Yeah, it does. It
That's
does.
interesting.
I mean, I feel like I need to see it because I've watched all of Girls, so you know, I
Mm.
gotta round out the Lena Dunham autorial
Cinematic.
project, the Lena Dunham cinematic universe. Um, well, do you want to move on to Hump Day? I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
okay. So Hump Day, which came out.
Someday. They don't
uh,
make the Wednesday joke.
I
So that's
know.
why I really hate this film, man,
Yeah,
because
that's why this is.
they never address what day is hump day. And similar to Hannah Takes the Stairs, you never see her take stairs in this movie. You never see them look at a calendar and then pick the day that will be hump day. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's we were we were lied to
Mhm.
by both of these films. And oh, I guess no, I think he arrived on
Was it a
Friday
Wednesday?
no, he arrived on a
Oh.
Friday evening because he came to Mark Duplass and his wife's house at 2
Mm.
a.m. and it was a Friday because I think they mentioned it.
But the hump day should have been Wednesday,
The hump day should have been
and I
Wednesday.
don't think that's ever really addressed, although I
But
can't remember.
but so this was directed by Lynn Shelton, who
Mhm.
unfortunately passed away last year, or no,
Mhm.
not last year, 2020. So,
Mm.
but she was also the partner of Mark Maron and directed a lot of his specials as well. But she kind of had her start in mumblecore too, and I I have to say that I really enjoyed this one.
Mm.
I thought the premise could have easily fallen apart if it wasn't played straight. Uh,
Mm.
no pun intended. And they do exactly just that because the plot is about this guy Mark Duplass's character who is like kind of is living that like suburban suburban fantasy of just kind of like owns a house, has a wife, a steady like white collar job, and then is planning on having a family. And then
Mhm.
his like friend from college comes by at like 2 a.m. and he's just in a completely different period in his life where he's still kind of like just traveling a bunch, doesn't really have a doesn't really have a relationship with any single woman, just kind of like drifting about, kind of. And
I think
so
he thinks he knows what type of lifestyle he wants to lead, but he'll soon have to come to question all of that.
yes, exactly.
So
And so then at a party, that that Andrew, which is the Mark Duplass plays like the straight man, pretty much, and Joshua Leonard.
they both play straight men.
Well, they both play straight men, but Mark Duplass is the straight
The
laced
quintessential.
and Joshua Leonard is the friend, the one that like is kind of more aimless and kind of living more of a crazy life. And so Joshua Leonard's character gets like meets these people, like these really artsy people at a party, and they and Mark Duplass ends up coming along, and they kind of have this like crazy discussion after being a little inebriated about making an art film about two straight men having sex. And then it's kind of them grappling with like if they would want to do this and like what that would entail, and if it's like it's not just two guys having sex, it's like more than that.
It's an art project.
Yeah, but and so basically like this really could have fallen flat if Shelton didn't kind of address it in more of a serious manner. Or like, I mean, I wouldn't say the movie's funny, but it's not like, haha, look at how goofy this is. It's very kind of earnest with like addressing these themes. And so that's what I really enjoyed about it. And then they and then I thought that the ending was also like really impactful, because it's just kind of like, why would we put ourselves through this? There's clearly a lot going on, and like this is making us very uncomfortable, and it's not just sex, and it's like more than that. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good dramedy, I would say, because it's got some pretty like it's got a lot of really good dramatic scenes in it too. I don't know exactly what I was expecting out of the movie. Because like conceptually, I think the main like bit of the movie is that could be really, really funny to have to put like two straight dudes, and they have to seriously consider having sex with their friend. And so so it is a very kind of I think there's a lot there that you can do with that. And what was I gonna say? I do think like both parties are pretty good at kind of maintaining their character throughout the whole thing. In terms of like I think because a lot of it is improv as well. That's a big thing with like mumblecore. And so it's interesting that I feel like you can, I don't know, with this movie, I couldn't really feel when improv had started, which is a good thing. It kind of all felt in line. And I think, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if I have like a ton to say on it, but I think because there's a Japanese word for it, but I forget I forget the title for it, but it's like when you have like love for your best friend, and it's
Platonic. Platonic love for your best friend.
Yeah, like oh yeah, platonic love. And it's like a thing with males or something. There's a specific word for it, but it's like when you
bromance, you mean?
The American term could be bromance, but you have it's like you have a very, very strong love for your friends, but you don't want to like fuck them or anything. Like, so it's like there's a certain word for it, but I'm forgetting what it is. but it's I think the film is interesting when it is kind of exploring that, because like they clearly do care very much about each other,
Yeah,
but it's a different type of love than what Mark has with his wife, because he loves her. That's his best friend, and they want to do things that a couple should do. And it's a different type of couple relationship with his buddy. And the
yeah.
line doesn't need to be crossed like that. But then the whole film is about them kind of pushing and approaching, kind of crossing that line. So it's funny in a weird way.
That scene at the end where they like kiss each other and they're like, I've never tasted someone's stubble before. And then they're
It's
like,
not that bad. It's not
they're
that
like,
bad.
they're like, they're like, that was horrible. That was terrible. Maybe we
Yeah.
just don't need to kiss in this video.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of, I would say that the thing that it most reminded me of was the film Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice from
Mhm.
which I think is like kind of similar with how it's ending, with how the ending is reached, where it's like it's like these people kind of pushing sexual mores until like they eventually realize like this isn't a boundary worth crossing because it could jeopardize other things, and it's like not worth it to just go through with it if you don't have any type of reason. I don't know if you're familiar with what that movie's about, Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
No, I have not. I haven't seen that one yet.
Well, it's from 1969, and it's got Natalie Wood and Elliot Gould in it, and it's about like these two couples that are friends, and like they kind of Bob and Carol, who are Natalie Wood and Robert Culp's character, they go to like these like they go to like a self-help thing, and it's like 60s flower power type stuff. And after going there, they're like they kind of want to see what like the swinging life is like, and they're like we should like all four of us like have sex together. but like what follows in the end is like kind of that, similarly to the ending of Humpday, where there's like that realization. It's like, why do we need to do this? And then I just think it's a very like beautiful ending. And I'm not, if you're into monogamy or not monogamy, if you're into polygamy, that's I respect you, and nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying kind of how both of these films handle that, and how kind of you kind of reach the ending. And actually the song in Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice, they play as Love Sweet Love by Quincy Jones, which they play a lot in Austin Powers, actually. So just thought I'd put that little fact in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Humpday is like for sure the one that like that people should definitely check out of Hannah. It's a lot better than Hannah Takes the Stairs, and I think it like is kind of proof that mumblecore can work if it like is actually saying something worthwhile. Like I don't really know many other movies that are just about like that have this kind of concept. So and I think that like Lynn Shelton kind of lends kind of an interesting perspective to it as a woman directing a movie about this too. Wouldn't you say?
No, I definitely agree. I would say, because this is the first one I watched and I enjoyed it. I had it's definitely an interesting watch for sure.
For sure.
And it doesn't really it's not predictable either. Like I'm sure I know that you can kind of guess what's going to happen with the end. They're either going to do it or they're not going to do it. but it's more of like watching the characters during this point in their lives where they've kind of already started their lives and they're kind of second guessing what they kind of want out of life, and if the life path that I have chosen is really good for me, and if it's what I really want. So I do find that kind of interesting, and I think like the using the are we going to, because it really, if you look at it, with Mark, like you said, he's the straight-laced guy. He kind of already has his life figured out. And then Andrew, no, what's the other guy? What's the other buddy's name?
It's Andrew, yeah.
Andrew, okay. And then with Andrew, he's more of like the artistic guy. He's going out and working on all these different art projects, and like he says, he never finishes in any of them, but he kind of is already on that path of a more like a free will guy. And then you have this kind of proposition that is an extreme kind of test to both of them, and it because if you have the more free will guy, he's going to want to do it because it's this really interesting art project, so he's going to want to take part in it, and he's going to want to do it and see it through. And then you have this kind of straight-laced guy that wants to stray away from his current situation. So it's just a really interesting, I think, like conceptually it's a very kind of it's there's a lot there to work with, and I think the film kind of does achieve what it's trying to explore at the same time. So
I would say that it's kind of it's
kind of funny that way.
It's kind of fun. In the words of Danny Brown, ain't it funny how it happens? Well, it's kind of its final message is one of like understanding on both of their sides, parts where on both of in both of their like lifestyle choices, where it's like you may not have kind of taken the same path, but like you can still really love and care about somebody, and like just hang out, maybe you don't need to
order a milkshake and a Philly cheesesteak and
yeah,
just kind of do your thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, finally, we will transition
the
to the
apex.
one we'll transition to the one that is like the strangest of the three,
for sure,
and that is the Safdie brothers' Daddy Longlegs, which is
it's an interesting love letter to your parents.
An interesting love letter to everybody out here who had a dad that was estranged from you or something.
Because the film opens up, one thing to note, produced by Casey Neistat, which I thought would be very funny. And then also apparently he produced Josh Sadfie's first movie as well. On Letterboxd it says Josh Sadfie. I don't know if no, it said Josh Sadfie. Oh, God damn it. Well, in this movie, you could scream out, "That's Josh Sadfie. There he is. He's an extra." But so it's interesting. I didn't know that the Sadfie brothers and Casey Neistat had a working relationship there for a second. But
yeah,
this film opens up and it says, "To our father," and it says to other things as well, and then it ends on also "To our mother" and everything. So it is kind of a I would have to assume it's kind of biographical in that sense, that they're probably taking events from their childhood and kind of putting them into this movie, because it's about a father with two young sons. And I would like to mention what Joseph, friend of the show, Joseph Shin, said about it in his Letterboxd review. It's about a man in his 30s with a lifestyle that's very different from what a traditional father would have, and he's trying to be a father and just unrelentingly still keep that same type of lifestyle, still going out and partying, or not partying, but still like going out to bars and hooking up with women and and going out and hanging out with other people. uh the kind of New York socialite, I would assume, kind of bar lifestyle. So I just wanted to highlight that because I found that to be very interesting, because he really does not act like a dad. uh you know
But he does have long legs. He's very tall.
This is true. This is true. Unfortunately, he doesn't have 6 legs, but he's got 2, and that kind of gets him where he needs to go.
But when you think about it, he does have 2 children, which could mean that he's
6 legs.
6
Yeah.
yeah.
I also wanted to say, in terms of it being a Sadfi Brothers, it's very much, I think, in line with their later work, as doing these kind of super anxious. This one doesn't really, it doesn't really take that kind of super anxious tone that you kind of find in their later work. To me, like, the second half kind of becomes this, like, this holy shit, the world is kind of fucking crumbling around me, and I gotta really, like, get it together and figure it out. Because the first half you just kind of see him being a father, and then the second half I feel like you kind of see him struggling very, very hard. Although it's not easy to be a father, I'm assuming. I haven't
You haven't done it yet.
experienced
Yeah.
that.
Well, I just want
know.
to say that he's also kind of a dude's rock icon.
Yeah. Wait, I was gonna ask you, so he has a girlfriend, right? Lenny,
Yeah.
Ellie and I is his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh man, poor Lenny.
Yeah. No, he's crazy for that one.
Yeah.
He's crazy. Just, I don't know. I just can't imagine like the whole thing about like them going to upstate New York after he just like met her at the bar and sleeps with her. And then
That was crazy, man.
and then she's like, and then he manages to kind of finesse his way into going to upstate New York with her and taking his kids and being just like, we're going on vacation. We're going on a trip. Heat check in this movie, heat check and Daddy Longlegs are just kind of the dude that shows up and kind of makes such a big appearance. Definitely has got to go to Abel Ferrara. As the man on the street selling Bill Withers CDs.
I want to know how that came about.
That then holds Lenny at gunpoint and steals his money.
I love that he's like, can I at least still have a CD? And there's like nothing fucking in him.
Like, there's no CD.
Yeah. They work together? I guess they've got to know each other through like the film scene in New York, I would have to imagine.
I mean,
there's no telling, I guess.
They're so lucky
that for real.
That they were able in their like, this is their second feature, and they were able to get such a legend of like amateur filmmaking.
Yeah.
Well, and so like as far as like it's strange that this is classified as mumblecore, because like it feels like it's a lot more like intense, and it's not like as intense as, it's more personal than like the other Safdie's films. Like
I totally agree.
It's less intense, or like, about like organized crime or anything the way that Good Time is, or less like bombastic as something like Uncut Gems, but
and it's still not as depressing as All That Heaven Knows or All That Heaven Allows.
All That Heaven Allows.
Oh wait, no. Oh, what's this? No.
We talking Douglas Sirk?
Wait, fuck me. It's I think their next film after this one, it was Heaven Knows What. Sorry. Heaven knows what. It's about drug addiction in New York. Yeah, I think it was their next film.
Yeah, or it's just more. Oh, wait, actually, I do. Well, now that you brought up now that we've brought up the Ferrara connection,
Mhm.
I know you haven't seen Bad Lieutenant, the
Port of
Harvey
Call.
Keitel, the heart. No, not well,
Oh,
that
that's
one
a sequel.
too.
That's a sequel. Sorry.
The sequel in
Mhm.
quotation marks. But Bad Lieutenant 1990 with Harvey Keitel, the Abel Ferrara movie.
Mhm.
It's oddly similar in a lot of ways to Uncut Gems, actually. So
that's interesting.
I mean, you can definitely see that the Safdies were very inspired by Mr. Ferrara.
Mhm.
But yeah, this, I guess, to go back to what I was saying about Daddy Longlegs, just it's got the handheld camera, it's got the kind of like semi improvised dialogue, but there's just a lot more. It just feels like there's a lot more at stake compared to like something like Hannah Takes the Stairs. And it feels like with the amount of things that happen, there's more brevity in the structure too. Like Hannah Takes the Stairs just feels very kind of meandery and like it's very inconcise. And Daddy Longlegs and Humpday to an extent are very much like at least addressing things in a way that like I feel like things are moving forward in a better way.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely, because I was gonna say it feels more like a traditional film, but I don't think that that's like an accurate way to like talk about it, because it definitely, it wait, where was I about to go with that? It's definitely more like art cinema, because you kind of have a protagonist that doesn't necessarily have like a strong goal, so you don't really have like, you don't really see the end goal yet with the movie. And I think the movie is more about, in the way that it's similar to the other kind of mumblecore movies, it's very much like, you're kind of hanging out with this character during this point in time in their life. I do wonder if he ever became a better dad, or if he, but oh man, that moving scene is rough.
Oh yeah.
It's so rough, man.
I I was fortunate that I'm fortunate that I never had a similar relationship with my father in the way that Sage and Frey have with their father Lenny,
with Daddy Longlegs.
With Daddy Longlegs.
Lenny Longlegs.
Lenny Longlegs.
I was gonna say, well, I got confused because I think right before the moving scene, he sends them to go he sends them to go get food. And then I think it's like a way of them kind of messing with the time. Like you don't really know how much time has elapsed, but then they like come back, and then like the whole apartment is like being moved out.
Yeah.
And I got really confused. I was like, wait, what? So I guess they were kind of playing with how much time had been like passed and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know if I have do you kind of have any other final thoughts on Daddy Longlegs?
That's really all I want to say, is that I think that like of the three, it's probably the strongest. And I think this was a fun dive into mumblecore.
I forgot the nightmare sequence in Daddy Longlegs. I forgot to talk about that. I wanted
that's another thing that just that feels out of place in a mumblecore movie.
Yeah. Like an actual like to do like an actual like further mental dive into the character. I don't think at least in the mumblecore movies that I've seen, which isn't very many, but I had not seen like a mental depth type thing for them. for mumblecore, because it's normally just kind of capturing two people talking in a scene. So it was, that was unexpected. So, but you were
Yeah.
saying, sorry.
That's really it.
Mhm.
I think there's a few others that I want to check out. Maybe I
Mhm.
should that movie Nights and Weekends, that Joe Swanberg movie with Greta Gerwig.
Where
Seems
she
kind of,
directed it,
yeah,
or
where
she and him directed it.
she and him directed it. That was like technically the first thing. That was her directorial debut, actually.
We could
That
do another episode.
Yeah, we could.
If we really want to.
If we really have, we could do Mumblecore round 2. We could talk about Alex Ross Perry's output in the movement, or
Mhm.
funny haha, or
That could be interesting.
yeah.
But
I feel like I could also like just come up with titles and like they'd sound like Mumblecore movies. Like,
Tony looks at his foot.
yeah, Tony looks at his foot. Oh, have you ever seen that Mumblecore movie? Have you ever seen the movie Susie What?
Door laugh.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know. I'm
Well, I
looking at a
think
door now.
Laugh, Laughh,
Oh, or LA, no. Well, there's that one, the one Joe Swanberg film, LOL, LOL.
oh yeah. Well,
Which that
there's that
looks interesting.
Joe Swanberg also, like, in his more recent output, it's just kind of been like doing mumblecore movies with like developed actors. And
Yeah.
it's like, and it's just kind of like, uh, yo, Anna Kendrick's in this one, Olivia Wilde's in this one, like that movie
Jake
Drinking Game.
Johnson is in this one.
Jake Johnson's in multiple ones, actually.
Yeah. I do love that Jake Johnson is the late period Mark Duplass.
The Duplass brothers are too busy working on their own stuff
Yeah.
to be in poor old Joe Swanberg's films
Well,
now.
does Blue Jay, because there's that they're like, it's interesting to see like the Duplass brothers and how they've like continued, because I do think they've kind of gotten out of mumblecore and a certain
The League is kind of
extent.
mumblecore when you think about it.
Yeah, but the league's pretty funny.
Oh, so it doesn't count because it's funny. Well,
I don't know.
it's fun. Is it funny? Haha.
It's different. It's nice.
Mhm.
I don't know, but they've done like plenty of HBO shows now. Is Creep a mumblecore?
Yeah, it actually
The
is.
first mumblecore horror film.
Yeah, there's apparently like there's a subgenre. This is from Wikipedia, but it says
Mm.
there's mumble gore, which is like mumblecore horror.
Now that does not sound very good to me. What would they do?
So the killer, like, he's gonna kill you, but then like he just starts like talking just
I'm
off the
sorry.
cuff, like just from the heart for like 20 minutes.
You know, dude, if we did an episode on mumble gore, now that would be really interesting.
Yeah,
I would be interested to see what kind of how a subgenre works inside of that subgenre. You know.
yeah, I would love to. I
Yeah.
haven't seen any of those Creep movies. I've only heard the
Well,
song of the same name by Radiohead.
I've seen both Creep movies. And
Yeah.
they're all right.
Isn't there a new one?
Apparently they are supposed to be working on a third one to end the trilogy, because it was always conceived as a trilogy, but I liked the first one. I really did not like the second one. But it's been a very long time since I've seen them, and I think I'd probably have a different reading on them now than I do then. So there's that. So we could throw Creep 1 in there.
Oh, it's got Katie Aselton in it too, from The League. Very cool.
In the sequel?
Yeah. No, in Creep 1, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, let's oh, she's married to Mark Duplass too. Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna move on to other things to talk about that aren't about forgotten film movements of the late 2000s, um which is which is things that we watched that we want to talk about. So let's hit the old ad break, first one of the year, and we'll get right back into it. So okay, we're back, and Fulton's gonna talk about the new film that he saw. I'm probably gonna save the new films that I saw.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's talk
Well,
about Don't Look Up.
I was gonna say I don't think that one's gonna come. So for people who might not know, next week is our best of 2021 episode. We're having famed Athens personality Cody Workman back on. And we're super excited. I've been like trying to chug through movies to like be ready for it. I'm still behind, but I got another week, so it's all cool.
He's very on the pulse of the of any new releases. So
I tried it. I thought I was doing really good this year, but then like I don't know. There's still so many movies that have just not made it to me and you yet.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, I still have to see Drive My Car, Memoria, The Worst Person in the World, Benedetta.
Same here.
So
I still need to see Stillwater. Flag Day I want to see.
I gotta see Venom 2. I really gotta see Venom 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But Don't Look Up, I don't think we'll be discussing on the best of
yeah, and I can speak on Cody's behalf too, because all the three of us watched it together and we all hated it. So
well, so we watched it with a rather large group and nobody liked it.
Oh my God.
First off, I'm sorry. No, continue. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, God, what a, like, I didn't think it was going to be that bad is my thing. Like I've never been crazy about Adam McKay's post Will Ferrell output.
Yeah.
Like I thought that The Big Short was fine for what it was. I didn't like Vice, but this makes Vice look like a masterwork comparatively. So
see, I agree. I haven't been a big fan of his stuff post Will Ferrell either. And I have not seen The Big Short. I own a copy of it and I just have been meaning to watch it. I just haven't got around to it. I saw Vice in theaters and I liked it, but I have a sneaking suspicion that if I revisited, I probably wouldn't like it as much. But oh boy, what is going on with it? Like, I don't understand how the drop in quality could be so severe. Because I don't think like Vice suffers from like, I'm trying to be constructive, but like, well, okay, I'll say this, like, this film, I have to wonder if it was rushed to meet this kind of deadline, because the editing is so like it's cut together so quickly, and oftentimes there are a lot of shots that I don't think are necessarily needed there, and they just kind of convolute the image of what you're trying to perceive. I'm really trying to be critical and not just not just kind of dog the movie out, because I think like there is a lesson there to be learned about like the construction of this film in terms of like what happened in post-production. And I know that there's a lot going on in this movie, and the editing does not help to kind of clarify anything of it. It only kind of convolutes what you're seeing even more.
I do know that it was conceived in before the pandemic, but it was filmed
Mhm.
during the pandemic. And I think
Mhm.
that like,
It was rewritten. It
yeah,
had to be rewritten to fit even more allegories in about COVID because there's a lot of them in this movie.
and it's like all these things. It's another example. It's another example of like a movie that Adam McKay is very frustrating to me because like I almost
He's
feel like I I agree with a lot of the things that he's
yeah,
saying, but not the way that he says them. Like he
I
just kind of
completely
always
agree. Yeah.
comes off as very arrogant. And like I just think that this is like a very bad way to kind of get across the how catastrophic global warming can be, and like how bad,
Hmm.
and like just the climate change as this thing that we all have to face, but a lot of people don't want to even admit that it's a problem. uh
Hmm.
and so you can do something with that for sure, but it feels very much cyclical, very much one note. It's like
Hmm.
2 hours and 18 minutes,
It's
and
so fucking long.
and like the cast is stacked, but it's not like where Vice I didn't like because I thought it was also kind of smug and annoying. It
Hmm.
had the benefit of having such a strong cast and such good
Hmm.
performances, like Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld, Christian Bale as Dick Cheney, Amy
Hmm.
Adams as Lynn Cheney, Tyler Perry as Colin Powell,
Hmm.
Sam Rockwell as George W. Bush. That was what made it a good time to
Hmm.
watch. This has a cast of the same level of just like insane talent. Like
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio is the lead. Um, we got
Jennifer Lawrence.
Tyler Perry back again, Kate Blanchett,
Hmm.
Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill, Jennifer, yeah, like you said, Jennifer Lawrence,
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet,
They like literally
Ari-
every fucking body is in this
Ariana
movie.
Grande, Kid
Kid
Cudi.
Cudi, yeah. We even
Um,
get a new Kid Cudi and Ariana Grande song.
yeah,
I
and
wonder how that's doing.
I haven't listened to it since I watched the movie Fulton. If that,
Yeah, but
uh, but it's like all of this talent is kind of squandered because I felt like it's kind of trying to fit all of these people into the movie, and they're
mhm.
all pretty much saying the same thing about global warming. And it's like, oh, how
Oh,
it's
Mark
funny.
Rylance.
Oh, Mark Rylance as a tech
Yeah,
as a
the
tech
Jeff
CEO.
Bezos type guy.
It's just like it's funny, or it's like crazy because this is like reality, right, dude? Like this
Mhm.
is why it's crazy, is because it's like global warming is a giant meteor, but like isn't that nuts? And it's like, yes it is
Yeah.
nuts. Thank you for
It,
telling me that a million times.
yeah. And man, yeah, I don't know. Like, and there's even a shot, and because I noticed this during the movie, but we were watching it in like a group party setting, so I didn't have a chance to like rewind it to double check. But there's like shots in the movie of the whole crew working, like the whole film crew working. Have you seen that?
No.
There's like shots of the whole crew working. It's during that scene. There's a party with that Jennifer Lawrence attends. It's not, I don't want to say a party, but it's like a little get together outside with Timothy Chalamet and like his like crew of like friends. And they do like this montage. And then for just some reason, there's shots of the film crew working. Now I don't know if that was supposed to be like, oh, look at like the news crew doesn't give a shit anymore. So they're like doing something with fire, but it's not clear that it could be a news crew. So I'm just having to assume that it's like the actual film crew. Like they just put footage in the film of the film crew working, which is the most oddest fucking like I just don't understand a lot of the choices and creative decisions. And like I've been having to really think about this recently because like I watched a movie this year that really tested me as a viewer in a bad way. And I was like, all right, that's the worst movie I've seen now. And then I watched this, and now I'm having to rethink like, is this the most tough movie I've had to sit through this year? Because like we talked about Free Guy, um because like when the conversation came up about this film, it was in the league of all the other films that have been kind of looked down upon this year. And like the conversation came up, is this, potentially the worst movie of the year? And I was trying to think about that because like I I do agree that like because you can say what you want about this film, but at least it's not evil in the same way that like Free Guy is, or like in the way that like Space Jam 2 is, or maybe even for the fact of the way Spider-Man No Way Home is too as well.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't think like the film is evil because I agree with you. Like the thing that is so frustrating about it is that you can agree with Adam McKay. He's making a point. You just don't like the way that he's going about doing it. And so like I don't know, like the further I've thought about this film, the less and less I like it. And I'm trying to be constructive because I don't really want to like shit on people's work and stuff like that. And not saying that we are. Um, but I just think there's a lesson to be learned here. And hopefully Adam McKay's next movie, because he's going to make another movie, because no matter what the critical reception to this film is, it's still done really, really well on Netflix. And there have been people that really like the movie, and if you like the movie, that's, fine.
It's yeah, if you don't like, if you like it, that's good for
Yeah,
you. But the
if
important
it's your
thing is that
thing.
you understand the message about the environment. So as long as
But
that gets through to you, I
I mean, I
guess.
guess it's a good thing because it's bringing climate change back into the discussion, but I don't think it really is in the same way that they really wanted it to be back into the discussion.
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know,
well, uh I guess we can transition to you saw the King's Man, the new Kingsman film that
yes,
I feel like has been in the
in limbo
release.
for a really long time.
Yeah.
With this film, you can kind of feel a COVID post production. Maybe me and you can coin a term of like that would be COVID post production syndrome, where the VFX they don't have as much time to bake in kind of the oven. But I don't really want to. That makes it sound like it's bad, but there are some like noticeable green screen kind of scenes, but it never was so distracting to where it like took me out of the movie. Like I was pretty fine with it throughout the whole thing. Um, but yeah, so I'm a pretty big fan of Matthew Vaughn. And I liked the other two Kingsman movies, so I was pretty excited for this one. I was sad to hear when it got delayed, because it got delayed till February and then they kicked it back to Christmas time for some reason. I don't
Mm.
specifically know why, but they may have been trying to kind of ride the high of people being back in the theaters for Spider-Man. I'm just trying to assume that might be why, and they're trying to sell it as like a Christmas movie. I mean, it does take part in Christmas, kind of, but not like specifically. But with this film, I think Matthew Vaughn is a director that does kind of have like a lot of personality that seeps through a lot of the images and stuff. And I think he's a very good action director. And so like mainly I really did enjoy the film. I did. Sorry, it may have sounded like I said I didn't. I really did enjoy this film. and I thought all the action was on point. Like my biggest complaints come with it, like Rasputin is a character in this film, and he's so fucking strong, and he's he's not only well acted, but he's the type of villain that you can laugh at because they have such a strong personality, but you can also find scary because of their personality as well. And I thought he was so incredibly strong that he should have been the main villain, because he also has an interesting fighting style where it's this kind of like Russian dance type fighting. So like while people are trying to hit him, he's like twirling, and his like coat is going up like a ballerina, and like creating like
Yeah.
a visual circle around him, and it's very like fun, and the fight scene with him is fantastic. And because there is kind of like the ending of the film, there's a reveal, and I think the reveal is very predictable, but I also don't think that that character had enough. There's just not a lot of weight to that reveal, which is kind of unfortunate, but it still had a very fun and interesting like fight scene at the end. But I don't really agree with like the message of the film. So like, long story short, I don't want to like spoil it, but I don't think anyone's really going to be mad at me. If you just want to like skip ahead, this isn't really a big spoiler, but like Ralph Fiennes' character is a pacifist at the beginning of the film, and throughout the film he learns that that's not a good idea. So I kind of have an issue with that, because if you want to be a pacifist, there are definitely ways to work in a kind of like militaristic system. Not to great, I know that it is very difficult to be in that system and work as a pacifist, but I think they really need to watch Hacksaw Ridge, because that proved that you can be a pacifist during a wartime. And I know it's
Yeah.
very difficult, but yeah, no, if you can kind of look past that and just kind of be entertained by it, you definitely can. By far one of my favorite action scenes that I've seen all year came from this movie, and that's the No Man Land scene. It's extremely well executed. It's a great scene. Um, this movie does have a post-credit scene, and I don't want to spoil what happens in the post-credit scene, but I want to talk to more people that have seen it, and I would also like to hear what Matthew Vaughn has to say about it, because I feel like it's got to be making fun of Marvel. Because they're just and I know that they might do a sequel to this movie, although the third Kingsman film has been confirmed and greenlit to end off the original trilogy. They might do a sequel to this one, although I don't really think they need to. But yeah, no, that's kind of my thoughts on the Kingsman. So
Well, uh, yeah, I very interesting. That they made Ralph Fiennes become not a pacifist. Uh,
it's because, well, yeah, we can talk about it later. I don't want to like go so far into it that
I did watch.
spoil it.
I did watch something else, but I said I'm going to save it for next week because it is definitely made the list for best of the year. So now I guess we can just talk about our top threes, and I'll start with saying that I watched and really enjoyed my viewing of my rewatch of Austin Powers in Goldmember from 2002. I think that it's everything that I want. I think I miss these types of comedies. I don't think that they're made as much.
It's not fair.
It's a very earnest movie. It doesn't feel like it's like irony poisoned in a lot of ways that comedies are now, and it's also it's fully scripted too. It doesn't feel improvised. It has some funny visual gags and set pieces, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I think it's probably the best Austin Powers movie.
I agree.
And it has just such a killer opening. It's like the fact that they managed to get Kevin Spacey, Danny DeVito, Tom Cruise, and Gwyneth Paltrow, and also John Travolta, all to like play themselves, play the Austin Powers characters in a fictional Austin Powers film adaptation. I think is pretty is pretty funny. Number
I think
two. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say I think Chris can agree with me on this one, but if you have not seen the Austin Powers films, please do yourself a favor and go see them. I don't know like how popular they are with like current and like new generations, but I'd be interested to know. But if you have not seen it, please go see it.
Another
See them.
another highlight this week was Robert Zemeckis's Used Cars with Kurt Russell from 1980. Now, me and Fulton, we're both not fans of his first film, I Want to Hold Your Hand, but I think that Used Cars is a pretty funny comedy about the seedy business of used cars, and Kurt Russell really does a good job playing like this guy that's a seedy used car salesman that you also really like, and is a good guy. It's was also produced by Steven Spielberg, and it's also quite raunchy. I was surprised with that, and it's also one of the few films that I've seen that's set in Arizona. There's not a lot of movies that are set in Arizona, and
Arizona Rising.
yeah. But last in my top three is Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I watched this on Christmas, and I just wanted to watch. I just wanted something that would be. I wanted something that's a Christmas film, but like that I hadn't seen before, and also isn't really fully about Christmas. It's just kind of like Christmas is occurring while the film happens, and this is kind of a pretty good one because it takes place during Christmas, and there's little Christmas stuff here or there, like Michelle Monaghan's character wearing a Santa hat and them just mentioning the holiday, but it's not really explicitly about Christmas. And it's also a Shane Black movie, so it kind of has that like witty type of dialogue, and Robert Downey Jr. is like a pretty funny noir protagonist, and like Val Kilmer is a pretty good like partner for him. And yeah, it's a lot. It relies a lot on the fourth wall, in a good way. So Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is definitely my shit, I'd say.
Nice. I've always wanted to see that one too. So with my top three, I've definitely watched a lot of movies. Because we recorded our episode pretty early on, the prior week, so I've watched a lot. But just kind of zone it down to three. I want to talk about Witness from 1985, starring Harrison Ford. It's a Peter Weir film.
Oh, Peter Weir, really? Oh.
Yeah, Peter Weir. Okay. All right, cool. I just want to double check because I don't want to get it wrong. So this film kind of rocks. I was so pleasantly surprised by it, because I've always wanted to see it, and I've always really liked that idea of kind of having like an Amish, kind of like a thriller set in an Amish town. Because when we watched The Village for our M. Night Shyamalan episode, I really dug kind of I've seen Kingpin. I just like I find it to be such an interesting kind of backdrop for a film. So I'm always down to kind of see more films that kind of explore that, not only that way of life, but kind of using that as a backdrop and kind of operating within the kind of the norms of the Amish community and religion and stuff like that. So So this film is very interesting because it has Harrison Ford, and it's basically like this thriller where Harrison Ford ends up kind of having to be stuck in an Amish community, and the pressure is kind of amped up throughout that. I'm trying not to like spoil it because it's a very I don't want to reveal too much, but it's very, very good, extremely well shot. I read something about it and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I want to say they used ambient lighting. I want to say, or not ambient lighting, but natural lighting for most of the film. And I could totally be wrong. I'm trying to remember exactly what I read, but basically, I'd always wanted to see the film, and then I read that little tidbit, and then I really wanted to see it. So then I watched it with my mom and stuff like that while we were wrapping presents and stuff. So that was a fun little Christmas activity to watch Witness.
Yeah.
Then next one I'll talk about is I'll kind of group these together. But I watched Joe Dante's Piranha from 1978, and then I followed it up by watching Piranha 3D. Um, and I don't know why, but I become so like dumbly interested in watching the original horror movie and then the horror remake, because like definitely films from the 2010 that like totally embody everything from the 2010s, or like the early 2000s and stuff like that, or not even the early 2000s, just the 2000s in general. I love seeing it. I find it to be so fucking funny to me. And Piranha 3D is the epitome of 2010 like culture and like the 2010 dress style. But I won't jump too far ahead. But Piranha by Joe Dante, I really, really like it. I definitely think it falls in line with like um kind of what he's been doing in all of his other films. Like there is a level of camp there, and it's a very, very like fun horror movie. um and I would recommend it. I don't think I have really too much to say about it, but Piranha 3D, I don't know if it's like a remake or because it doesn't follow the story of the first one at all. So I think it's just another Piranha film that is taking heavy inspiration from Piranha.
Mm.
And something also to note is that James Cameron stepped in to do Piranha 2, The Awakening, or I think, or like The
Yeah.
Rising or something like that. Because Piranha and Piranha 2 were Roger Corman films. And so the story goes that I believe that Piranha 2 had already started with another director, and then that director dropped out. So he asked James Cameron if he would like to step in. And so, continuing that story, apparently, for Piranha 3D, the director,
Alexandra Aha.
yeah, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, because I'm very good at doing that. And then so, he wanted to bring Joe Dante and James Cameron and have them both in a cameo in this movie. And I was like, oh my God, that would be so sick. And I don't know if I don't think Joe Dante has his cameo in it, and James Cameron couldn't do it because he was busy, and that was around the time when Avatar was coming out, so it all makes sense. But
That's true.
man, this cast is insane for Piranha 3D. Man, you have Jerry O'Connell as a porn director. You have Christopher Lloyd as the scientist. You have Adam Scott. Man, it's just such a wild cast. This movie, Eli Roth is in it as like a wet t-shirt contest. He's like the king is, spring break. He's like hosting all the spring break events and stuff like that. And dude, like it does kind of border into torture porn because there are some very like there's some very gruesome and grotesque kind of sequences that happen throughout this film. Um but I don't even know if I can like strongly recommend it to people because like to me it's like it's like I have not been that entertained by watching a movie in quite some time. It was so fucking funny to me. Um but man, like there are truly some images I never thought I would see come to life. There's a sequence where this girl is I think they call it they basically, you get a parachute on and they kind of drag you from the back of a boat, so then you kind of fly up.
Oh
But
yeah.
it might be called paragliding, but I know that that's because it's a parachute and it's not like. But anyways, so this girl is like, I'll call it paragliding because I don't know what else to call it. But she's paragliding and she brings out her boobs. There's a lot of nudity, female nudity in this movie. But she brings out her boobs, and then the boat slows down, and so there's a shot under the water where her boobs are like gracing like the lake water, and you get to see that. And then Jerry O'Connell's like, fuck, you're ruining my shot. You got to get those boobs on that fucking parachute right now, you motherfucker. And then, so I was like, oh my God, this is, and then so it's a 3D movie, right? And so it does play around with that. And I think oftentimes it kind of does forget that it's a 3D movie. But man, there's one 3D visual gag that John Waters, I could see him going, damn it, I should have done something like that.
Are you sad that you don't have a 3D TV so you couldn't
truly
experience
I had to watch it on 2D like a jackass.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, the level of entertainment I get out of these 2000s and 2010s horror remakes is unmatched.
I know you're really the one that seems to enjoy them the most. It seems
they're not good. They're not good. They're and but if you just want to sit down and enjoy a film, they're often not very good. Like Piranha 3D, I don't think is a very good movie, but it's also it does strike me as a film that's extremely aware of what it is doing and what it is trying to do. So I never really get the sense that it's trying to take the source material very seriously, because how can you? It's piranhas, there's not a lot to work with there, so they're really amping it up.
I didn't think about this until you brought it up, but don't you find it interesting how James Cameron, his first three film, James Cameron was he did Piranha 2, and then he stepped in for the Piranha sequel, and he also stepped in for the Alien sequel.
Yeah, and then I think in between that he did Terminator, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's what he did.
It is interesting. But I got so taken away by Piranha 3D, I was like, I gotta watch another horror remake. And this is a movie I've wanted to watch for a really long time. It's called The Town That Dreaded Sundown from 2014. So this one actually did surprise me in a way that I was not anticipating. So when I watched the original Town That Dreaded Sundown, I didn't think too much of it, but the longer it kind of sat with me, the more and more I liked it. And the original Town That Dreaded Sundown, it's classified as a regional horror film because the director, his whole shtick, he was from Texas, I want to say. Not his whole shtick, but his whole kind of goal was to take stories that he grew up listening and kind of transform them into film. So to take the Texas legends and kind of turn that into film. And so The Town That Dreaded Sundown is based off of the Moonlight Murders, which basically a killer would go out and kill teenagers, and he was never caught. And apparently it is a true story. So I do find it interesting. But regional horrors is something that I really want to get more into. But so I do enjoy the original one. So when I got to this one, I don't really know what my expectations were, but this film really kind of blew me out of the water. I was so kind of surprised with how the film goes about dealing. The film definitely has its faults, but I really do get the sense that everyone is really really trying to do to make a really good movie, a really great movie. If honestly, it's shot in film. There, the lighting is insane. There's some great lighting. The shot design is it's so engaging and so fucking pretty to look at. For a movie to come out in 2014, and also with it being a horror remake, you would think they would just take the cheaper alternative to just shoot it on digital. But now I need to double check, but I'm most positive there's no way this film was not shot on film. It just looks so pretty.
Did you think it was did you think it was a superior? You think that it was like better
Original.
than the original film, Ben Affleck's The Town?
No, no, I wish. But the other interesting thing about this film is that the way, because I thought it was going to be a remake, but it technically is like it's like a meta equal, if I can say that. And I know I'm making shit up, but like because it takes the first film and this so the 2014 Town, that dreaded Sundown, the story is that these murders happened, they made a movie about it, and now it's about the town living in the wake of kind of the murders that happened back in the 40s and the movie that has come out, and it's about how the town has kind of like reacted to the myth of the killer, but also the legacy of the movie, the legacy that the movie has left behind. So it's really weird for them to kind of like bake the original movie in, and then now a new killer is inspired by the movie and by the original killings and doing, and then, continuing to kind of go off of what's left in the wake of a kind of a traumatic event that's been turned into a movie.
It's like Human Centipede too, in that way, where it's like it exists outside of it's like Human Centipede 2 is like the guy really likes the first Human Centipede movie. And he's like, I'm gonna make my own Human Centipede.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I think it's, regardless, it's still an interesting kind of way to make a sequel, in my opinion. And now there's a twist, there's an ending. And I was reading reviews. Mm-hmm.
Are you aware that Ryan Murphy produced it?
So I read that, and apparently he was supposed to direct it. He was going to write and direct it, which thank God. Because apparently he brought it to Blumhouse.
Yeah.
Because it is a Blumhouse produced, horror film. But yeah, so there's a twist ending, and apparently it was the studio wanted that ending, because I definitely think like the ending doesn't really kind of stick where it needs to go, but I'm willing to kind of excuse it for what the rest of the film kind of offers. But I think this would be a great kind of double feature for anyone to kind of go and do. Because I don't know, I get so fascinated by the regional horror stuff, and so for this one to kind of like bake the original one in, it's really interesting.
Well, cool. And wait, is that your third?
Right. Yeah, that's my third.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry.
Okay. No, well, that's a cool 3 films. Unfortunately didn't have as much to say about my 3 films as you did, but I really now need to see Piranha 3D. I think
I would watch it with you. I would totally, dude. It so fun. It's such a fucking weird movie, man. It's crazy. You're like, you'll truly never. I've never thought I would see certain images that are shown in that movie on film. I didn't think I need to see them. I didn't think ever that they would, it's wild. It's so funny, dude.
Are you gonna watch the sequel, Piranha 3D?
3D. Probably. It's the, I have Piranha 2 left and I have that one left. And really I would have gone farther, but I was like, I kind of need to catch up on, other releases for the best of episodes. That's mainly why I didn't continue going down that rabbit hole.
Well, did you see the new Maggie Gyllenhaal movie yet?
Yes, I have seen that.
Okay.
And I thought about talking about that one during the new releases, but I can talk about it because I don't really think I'm going to talk about it during.
It's all up to you. I still have yet to see it. But I think it looks good.
If you want to do it like when you watch it, I can talk about it then. Okay. If you want to do something like that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because I'm not like, I don't think I have like a lot to say.
Well, I suppose we will when we get there, we'll see. But I guess that's it for this week. And next week,
Dude, I'm
what?
sorry. David Hasselhoff is in Piranha 3DD.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. David Hasselhoff. And it
Oh
also
my
just seems to
God.
be like the budget is like a quarter of the original. It's like $5 million movie. So
Oh my God.
I'm very confused about, like, it's usually the other way around when a movie is successful and they make a sequel. It's like
Yeah, you would
really go
think.
bigger.
I gotta
But
see this now.
well, I guess on that note, we'll end it there. And the next week will be our best of 2021 episode with our returning guest Cody Workman back again for our recap. And he's gonna probably talk about how much he loved Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. I can already predict that in the cards.
Well,
yeah.
stay safe
Yeah,
until
stay
then.
wavy.
Yeah.
Right.